So I want everyone to say it with me. The Bears still suck. Complete fraud of a team. You know, these fans were pretty much saying they're going to take the division back. You know, it's Mitch Trubisky's year, and then that didn't work. And then Nick Foles is going to lead this team. This defense is still elite. I don't know. Bears still suck, man. What's going on, everyone? Baserski Productions here. So last night, the Packers took their 100th win against the Bears, winning 41-25, moving them up to 8-3. Taking a 3.5 game lead on the division over the Bears and the Vikings, who are both 5-6. And I'm really liking how this is shaping out. I did not expect a 40 bomb on the Bears defense. You know, all jokes aside, still a very good defense. Definitely one of the better ones in the league. Khalil Mack, although he didn't do anything, still one of the better pass rushers in the league. You know, I'm not going to lie, them missing Akeem Hicks definitely hurt them. Definitely hurt them. I think he's one of the most, if not the most important player on that defense, and just really dictates that line of scrimmage, and them missing him really hurt them. So we need to give a shout out to the offensive line. Day in and day out, these guys show up and they just dominate. Corey Linsley went out early, didn't matter. 0 sacks, 0 hits. What happened to, he's worth 2 first-round picks. He's worth the cap hit. I mean, Billy Turner took Khalil Mack to school last night, so so people need to give Billy Turner more respect. He has one of the highest pass block win percentage ratings in the NFL at tackle. Yes, he has an iffy contract around 6, 7, 8 million a year, but if you look who's above him, if you look who is getting paid at the right tackle position, there's a lot worse. Could be a lot worse. Billy Turner has played a hell of a year. I'm okay to admit I'm wrong. You know, last year I didn't like the signing. He didn't play good last year, and I don't know what he did, but he did something right because he's having a hell of a year. This entire offensive line is having a hell of a year. The best one so far has probably been Elton Jenkins. I mean, we're not going to mention Bakhtiari because he's always great, but Elton Jenkins has been phenomenal. He's played 1,132 snaps since being picked in the 2nd round last year and has allowed 1 sack. And that's not to include the fact that he's played center, I think both guard spots, and the right tackle spot. So, you know, this guy is so versatile, and there needs to be more recognition for him being one of the better offensive linemen in the league, because that's what he is. And I think there's still a lot of fans and people that don't even know who he is, and that's wrong. That's so wrong, because I think he's one of the best guards in the game, and also so versatile. He can play anywhere on the line. And, you know, it's crazy because Corey Linsley is a #1 ranked PFF center, and he goes out with an injury, and Elton slides right in, no different. And as much as it pains me to say, that might be the reason why the Packers move on from Corey Linsley. His contract is done at the end of this year, and that might be the reason. And another reason being, if Elton Jenkins slides to center, Jon Runyan Jr., if we hit on him in the 6th round, man, if he plays anything like his dad, which he's showing it, because Jon Runyan Jr. is playing extremely well, and just to think of, you know, he's such a young offensive line in terms of Elton and Runyan. You know, if we hit on that guy in the 6th round, it makes me giddy. It makes me giddy because, you know, we hit on Bach in the 4th round, bunch of guys that hit late. I think Linsley was a 5th rounder. Sitton, Lang, all these guys are all late rounders, and it's just crazy that the Packers continue to do that, and their offensive line is shaped around such great linemen, and they just protect 12, which is the most important thing on offense. So Aaron did what Aaron does against the Bears in primetime. I believe that takes him to 9-0 against the Bears on Sunday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers, 21 for 29, 211 yards and 4 touchdowns. Dude balled out, always does. You know, I went and saw that article that was posted in 2019 today when it says, is Mitch Trubisky ready to dethrone Aaron Rodgers as the best quarterback at NFC North? You know, whoever wrote that article, like, I know everyone can be wrong sometimes, but that's just bad. That's really bad. No, to answer that question. Definitely not. Not then, not now, not ever. What I loved about last night was the offense kept their foot on the gas. Went for it on a couple 4th downs. Speaking of which, one of the early 4th downs, Devontae Adams, I saw him in shotgun in the backfield, which is really cool. I like to see that because if that creates a linebacker mismatch on him, you know, he's not getting covered. He's getting open every time. And it's reminding me of back in the 2013, 14, 15 days when Randall Cobb would sit in the backfield and linebackers would cover him. Sooner or later, teams figured out and started putting nickel corners and safeties on him. But back in the day when Cobb was doing that, a linebacker would be on him and he would torch them every single time. So I honestly want to see that a little bit more. I think it would be cool to have Devontae in the backfield on certain downs, like maybe 3rd and short, just kind of have a little swing to the outside. He'll beat a linebacker 10 times out of 10. So moving on to the defense, obviously scored a touchdown on defense. Preston Smith scoop and score after a Za'Darius strip sack. Looked like it could have been a face mask on Mitch, but they didn't call it. You know, it happens. They didn't call the bad Aaron Jones one last week against the Colts. It happens. That's not the reason why the Bears lost 41-25. So get that straight. Preston Smith. I mean, I've been shitting on him. I think a lot of people have been shitting on him. A lot of Twitter has been shitting on him, and it's not because I don't like the guy. I think he's a wonderful person. You know, he had a wonderful year last year, but you have to realize and be a realist when it comes to players not performing like they should or not performing like they have. And like I said, it's not that I'm hating him, and I obviously want him to succeed, which he did last night. He had one of his probably the best game in 2020. And I don't know if he reads Twitter or reads the critics, but you know, you have to be critical on players. You know, if you watch a sport, I know optimism's a great thing, but you also have to be realist and you have to be critical on certain players. But Preston Smith, I'm hoping he continues what happened last night. If he can, look out, because him, Gary, and Z are a force to be reckoned with, and if they all get onto their top tier levels, pass rush is going to be very, very good in the late games this season. So the best player on defense last night, you know what I'm going to say, Darnell Savage. I just want to give a shout out to Darnell Savage. He's from right around where I'm from, Newark, Delaware, so Newark, Delaware represent. Darnell had a wonderful game. 2 interceptions, 1 in the end zone, which is a great tracking of the ball. He pretty much ran the route for Mooney there. And then the one where Mitch was going to Mitch and just kind of threw it up into triple coverage, and he played good on the. He played really well on the ball, jumped up, grabbed it. Darnell Savage has had a wonderful last few games. Last night he had a 96.3 PFF rating, which is one of the highest I've ever seen. I don't know the last time I saw a 96.3 from a defender on the Packers, so that's really good to hear. Him and Amos are finally starting to play good, play up to their standards, and if Darnell Savage, you know, if this is the norm and he's finally putting it all together, he can easily be one of the top safeties in the league. And he has great closing speed, great athleticism, great ball skills. You know, if this is him putting it all together, I am very excited for Darnell Savage. Another dark horse, Raven Green, played a pretty decent game. He's been very solid for the Packers at that nickel backer spot. He stopped them on a 3rd and goal. It was a kind of a jump ball to the backside of the end zone to Allen Robinson, which is he's a great receiver, but hopefully he gets out of Chicago. I know he was the one that created that, and he didn't want to sign with the Packers or didn't accept their deal, but hey, not my problem. But Raven Green broke it up in the back of the end zone. I thought it was a catch at first, but Raven played it well enough to where it was bobbling around, which is a really good play by him. So now that we got all the good out of the way, you know, the Bears still scored 25, right? 15 of those points were in garbage time, 4th quarter. The Packers were up 41-10 in the end of the 3rd, so I'm not going to really go into this too much, but the same issues seem to be arising, like right before half. The soft prevent defense, they ran down the field, scored, you know, it was easy. And then the 4th quarter garbage time, it just seemed to be prevent defense. You know, if you're up 41-10, why not dictate? Why not dictate what you want them to do? Press up, make Mitch Trubisky beat you deep, because he's not going to. Press up, don't let him nickel and dime you like he was, and make him beat you deep. I mean, even one of the last drives, Kevin King should have had an interception in the end zone. That should have been Mitch's 3rd pick on the day. But hey, you know, that one late touchdown to Montgomery off the screen where they ran a quad set up top of the screen and there's only like 2 or 3 defenders and they're all defensive backs up there, that can't happen. You know, right when I saw that formation, I was like, it's a quick screen to Montgomery, they're going to score. And that's what happened. You know, if I can see these things, Mike Pettin should be able to see these things. And I just really want this soft zone. The Packers do not have the linebackers to run a cover 2 soft zone like this. They just don't have the speed there. So they need to figure that out. So David Montgomery had his way running the football. He went 11 for 103, a 9.4 average. I know one of those runs was a 57-yarder early on, which pretty much extrapolated the average there. But run defense wasn't that great. And I guessed this was going to happen, especially with Montravius Adams put on IR. He's one of the better run defenders this year for the Packers, so I figured Montgomery was going to have a decent day. The only reason he didn't have more yards because the Bears were down so quick and they had to dictate their game to the pass to try to get back into the game. So moving on to the Flick Chat questions. If you want me to answer your question, go down in the description, download the Flick Chat app, join my Packers group. It's free to download, free to be on. There's game threads, questions, polls, just group chats, all that sort of thing while the game's going on. You can chat with me about certain, things, Packers, whatnot. And then after every game, I answer a few questions on the recap. So firstly, we have Michael Biggs asking, as we progress in the season, what player or players in a contract year do you think we will let go? So I talk about this a lot, and last night made me realize a few things. Firstly, Corey Linsley, best center in the league in terms of PFF, but if Runyon continues this play and Elton Jenkins continues this play, which he will because he's an amazing lineman, I could see them moving on from Linsley just to try to save money. Not that they don't want to retain him, but if Runyon is good, which he seems to be, and then Elton can play center, you can spend that money elsewhere. It sucks because Linsley's such a good dude and he's such a great center, but he does seem to kind of have some injury issues this year, so hopefully he can overcome those, but I can see them moving on from him. And then I don't know what they're doing with Aaron Jones because it seems like they're playing him less and less now, and I don't know if that's just because they want to keep him fresh for late in the year, which makes sense, or they're trying to drive down his value a little bit so they can retain him. I don't know. I know they love Jamal and they like to split that up, but it seems like Aaron Jones is getting less and less carries as this year goes on, and I don't know if they're just, like I said, trying to drive down his value. So Jonathan Parthamore asks, should we expect the defense to keep up this kind of aggressiveness, or do you think it's just because it's the Bears? So I'm going to say a little bit of both. Mitch Trubisky is Mitch Trubisky. He's going to turn over the ball. He's not going to play well. If you put the game in his hands and make him try to win it, not going to do it. That team, that they win by their defense. They're not going to win by Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles. So I'm going to put a lot of their success last night in terms of 3 turnovers on Mitch and the Bears, but also the Packers defense strives so much on momentum. So this could be a good building stepping stone for the Packers defense in order to, finally start creating more turnovers, create more sacks, that sort of thing. So I think a little bit of both there. I really want to see them get more turnovers and be more aggressive like they were last night, though. So that'll about do it, everyone. Like I said, the Bears still suck. I mean, come on. We play the Eagles next week, who are abysmal. Who knows if we're going to be playing Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts. I don't know. But I love to see the Packers play the Eagles since I live near Philly. But that'll about do it. Like I said, Packers move on to 8-3. Looking good for the NFC North. Looking good for the NFC in a whole. So let's keep on rolling. As always, go Pack, go.